All right, let's dive in. Today, we're going under the hood of the Bitcoin network. We're not just going to talk about Bitcoin, we're going to talk to it. Or, well, to be more specific, we're going to talk to a Bitcoin node. We're going to learn how to ask it questions and actually understand its answers. Think of this as your own personal control panel for the entire Bitcoin network.
So, I'm sure you've heard people talk about running a full node, right? How it's this super important part of keeping the network secure and decentralized. But what does that actually mean day to day? What do you see on your screen? It's not some flashy video game, but trust me, it's just as interesting.
You know, probably the easiest way to wrap your head around this is to picture the dashboard in your car. It's got all the important stuff right there. Your speed, how much gas you have left, the engine temperature. Your Bitcoin node has a control panel that's kind of like that, giving you all the vital signs about its health and how it's connected to the rest of the network.
Okay, so let's start right there with that control panel. How do we even get to it? What kind of language does it speak? Figuring this out is really the first step to feeling comfortable running your own node.
To talk to your node, your computer uses this special kind of language. It's a really standard way to send a request and get a reply back that's clean and organized. Now, the technical name is a JSON RPC interface, but really, all you have to know is that this is how your computer asks the node, "Hey, what's going on?" and gets a status report back.
So, how do we actually use this special language? Well, the great news is you don't have to be some kind of programming genius. You just need to open a direct line of communication. And believe me, it's way simpler than it sounds.
It's really just a simple three-step process. First, you open up a command line tool. That's something like Terminal on a Mac or PowerShell on Windows. Second, you type in a specific known command. And third, boom, your node instantly replies with the info you asked for. That's it. And this is the key thing to get. You're not writing complicated code here. You're just using a little tool called Bitcoin CLI to ask your node a direct question. It's like typing, "Hey, what's the network status right now?" It's something anyone can get the hang of with just a few simple commands.
All right, you ready? Let's ask our first question. We're going to check the node's network vitals, basically its pulse, to see how it's connected to the outside world. And we're going to use one of the most useful commands out there to do it. The command is get network info. Simple as that. You type Bitcoin-CLI get network info into your command line, you hit enter, and your node, which has just been humming along in the background, immediately spits out a full report for you.
And this is what you get. Now, I know, at first glance, it might look like a bunch of programmer gobbledygook, but take a closer look. It's actually a really organized list. This is that JSON format we talked about, and the important thing is it's designed to be readable by humans.
Okay, let's just focus on one little piece of information in there. Connections, 10. What does that mean? It means our node is currently talking to 10 other nodes, or peers, somewhere else in the world. It's not alone. It's an active participant in this global conversation.
So what's it talking about with those other nodes? Well, the report tells us that too. It lists the services our node is providing. We can see it's helping out with network data, like sharing new blocks, and it supports witness data, which is part of a key network upgrade. Basically, this tells us our node is being a helpful citizen of the network.
So that JSON format is actually pretty clever, isn't it? It's structured enough that another computer program could easily grab that number of connections, but it's also clear enough that you and I can just look at it and figure out what's going on. It's the perfect bridge between a person and a machine.
Now, before your node can have any of these conversations, it has a really, really big job to do first. When you fire it up for the very first time, it has to download and check the entire history of Bitcoin. This whole process is called syncing.
And this process is not instant. As our source material points out, it can easily take more than a day. So why so long? Well, because your node isn't just blindly downloading files. It's meticulously checking every single block and every single transaction that has ever happened to make sure the entire history is correct according to the rules of the network.
And the sheer scale of that job is just staggering. When our source was written, a new node had to validate almost 1 billion transactions, one by one. This is the heavy lifting, the cryptographic work that actually gives Bitcoin its legendary security. And this really gets to the heart of everything. This quote from the source says it all. The security isn't just some magic trick. It comes from this unbroken, verified chain of blocks. By checking this entire history for itself, your node creates its own independent source of truth.
So, why go through all this hassle? Why check these network vitals and spend a whole day syncing the blockchain?
Well, it all boils down to one incredibly powerful idea.
And here is the ultimate payoff. When you run your own node, you don't have to trust a company or a website or some influencer to tell you what the truth is. You can ask your own node directly and verify it for yourself. It is the difference between hearing a rumor and seeing the proof with your very own eyes. And that leaves us with this really fascinating final thought. The whole point of this entire system of running a node, of validating billions of transactions, is to build a network where trust isn't necessary. So if anyone, anywhere, can check the truth for themselves, who's left that we actually need to trust? Something to think about. Thanks for tuning in.